Hey, I'm Liz from No Trace. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a very simple, super cute purse that has adjustable straps and an optional pocket. I have a downloadable PDF pattern for this bag and several variations in my shop. If you're interested, the link is in the description box below this video. Let's go. The height of the finished bag is about 12 inches tall and it's about 9 inches wide. But normally you will have this top flap folded over, so it's more like 7 or 8 or 9 inches tall, depending on what you keep in your purse. I'm going to walk you through the measurements for this bag. As always, they're also typed out underneath this video in the description box, so you can just click underneath. The main outside is made up of 2 panels of fabric that are 15.5 inches tall by 10.5. You also need liner fabric that's 15.5 by 10.5. You're going to need some small scraps to make the loops on the side of the bag that hold the strap. I'm working with 2 pieces that are 2 by 6. You could go a little taller than 2 or even a little shorter than 2. And I have a 54-inch strap for this bag. I made my strap, but you could use cotton webbing or ribbon. If you want to make a strap yourself, I have a tutorial that I'm linking to right here that shows you how to make a strap in any length. If you'd like to make an interior pocket, which is optional, you're going to want 2 pieces of fabric that are 10 inches tall and 10.5 inches wide. Again, you don't have to have a pocket on the inside, but if you want one, it's really easy to add. The very first step is to assemble your pocket if you are making a pocket. All you need to do is put your 2 pieces of pocket fabric with the right sides together. So if there's a print, you want the prints touching each other. And then just sew along the top edge with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I finished that simple seam right at the top. Next step is to open it up so I can see the print. This is just a solid, so nothing much to see here, folks, but still want to open it up and have the right side facing up, and then I'm just going to press along this top edge. And that is all the prep for your pocket. It's such a simple addition. Now that the pocket's finished, I'm going to get my liner fabric with the right side up, and I am going to pin the pocket on top of the right side. I'm lining it up at the bottom edge, and then I'm going to pin the pocket in place. Once the pocket is pinned onto one piece of liner, you can get your other piece of liner and again put it right side to right side. And I'm going to pin these layers together all around on 4 sides. And I'm going to set my liner aside for now. Before we can pin our outer layers together, we have to construct the little loops that go on the side to hold the strap in place. So I'm going to take my 2 scraps and I'm going to sew them with the right sides together with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance just on these 2 long sides so that I've made a long tube. Okay, at the machine here, I'm going to do a little back stitch at the beginning. And then I'm just going to go all the way down and back stitch at the end. My 2 straps are sewn together, so next I'm just going to fold it in half and push along that center to make a little crease, and then just cut right along that crease so that now I have 2 pieces to work with. And then I want to turn them both right side out. You might want a chopstick or the eraser end of a pencil to make this a little bit faster. You could also use a safety pin. So they're both right side out, and I press them both with the iron. Now we want to pin the loops on the sides, and you're going to want a ruler for this. I like to pin the loops 8 inches from the bottom edge. You could definitely move that around a little bit. So I'm just folding the loop so that the folded edge is pointed towards the center of the bag. And I am pinning it so that the top of my loop is at 8 inches on the right side, and the top of the loop is at 8 inches on the left side. I'm also going to add one of my little no trace tags. This is totally optional. I'm going to place it just about an inch down from the loop on the right side. You definitely don't have to do this. If you want your own custom tags printed, I have a link to the Etsy shop that I use below this video. These are all 100% organic cotton. Once these pieces are pinned in place, we can get our other piece of outer fabric, and we want to place it right sides together with the first piece. I do want to point out this bag works nicely with a pattern that doesn't look funny when it's folded upside down. So you can see the pattern that I'm working with is fairly abstract. So it looks fine folded over, but just keep that in mind. So I've got these two pieces right sides together, and I'm going to go ahead and pin them on 4 sides. Now that the inner layers are pinned and the outer layers are pinned, I'm going to sew around 3 sides with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to back stitch here at the beginning and at the end and just work my way around. I want to show you how I do a corner just in case that's new to you. Just keep going until you get about a 1/2 inch away from that bottom edge, and then with the presser foot down, or sorry, the needle down, presser foot comes up, and then you can pivot and just keep going all the way. I wanted to point out that the same thing happens with the outside fabric, but when I get to the straps, I am going to reinforce the straps, and you can feel them with your fingers through the fabric, or you could just peek and look. And so I'm going to sew over it with 3 rows of stitches so that the little loops that hold the straps are super strong. Once you've got all 3 sides sewn up on the liner fabric and the outer fabric, now I am going to box the corners. So I've got my ruler here, and I am going to put my ruler on the corners, put the 1 inch, it's a 1 inch square ruler, I should point out. And I'm just going to trace out that 1 inch so that I have a nice little square on each of these bottom corners. I'm using a pen because I'm not sure where my pencil is, but this is usually better done with chalk or pencil. I haven't had a problem with the pen peeking through anywhere, but you know, I would recommend chalk or a pencil instead of a pen. And now I'm going to cut out the corners where I drew my little square. And of course, I'm going to save these little scraps. I actually have a nice little collection right now of these squares from all of the purses I've been making lately. So they'll probably come together in a fun project that you can see here on my channel sometime soon, TBD. Now we want to open up the bag and bring the cut sides together so that we go from this little square shape to a little straight line, creating that depth down at the bottom of the bag. And if you added a pocket, you want to make sure that all of your pocket fabric is together on the same side of the bag. So in this situation, I've got all of the extra pocket fabric on the left side of this seam here. And it doesn't really matter if you do it to the left or to the right. You just want to do it just the same way on both of these corners. Otherwise your pocket will be twisted. And I didn't put a pocket on the outside of the bag, although you definitely could. But for this, I am going to just open up the corners and go ahead and pin. Okay, back at my Juki here, I'm just going to sew straight parallel to the cut edges we just made to box the corners of our bag. And I'm going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And of course I want to back stitch at the beginning and the end of each of these corners. Okay, all of the bottom corners are sewn, and this bag is almost done. It sews up pretty fast. Okay, we're going to turn the liner fabric right side out and make sure that your corners look like this. If they look funny, it's because your pocket got flipped over to the wrong side. So just flip it back around. And then I'm going to put the liner fabric inside the outer fabric and push the bottom to the bottom. And then I am going to line up these side seams and pin them together. And I'm going to add a pin to join these two sides of the bag. Same thing over here. And then we'll go back to the machine for our last seam. Hooray! I'm going to start this last seam about an inch or two away from one of the side seams. Doesn't really matter where you start. That's just kind of my habit. And I'm going to do a little back stitch here. And then I'm going to go all the way around, except I'm going to stop and leave an opening of 3 or 4 inches. I have a confession. That wasn't the last seam. It was the second to last seam. I forgot. There's one more step. I'm going to pull the bag so that it's right side out all around. So it looks like this. Now I'm going to push the liner into the outer fabric. And then we truly have one seam left. And I'm sure you can guess, it's up here. We want to iron this top edge so that it lays really nice and flat. And then I'm going to do a top stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from the top edge all the way around. Now, I don't know if you need to see this or not, but I thought, hey, just in case, I'm going to show you how I do my top stitch. I'm going to start near the side, and I am just going to work my way around with about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Also, if you're still watching, thank you, and tell me who you're making a purse for. Is it for you? Or a friend, or a kid? Leave a comment. Okay, I'm coming back to my beginning stitches. I used a hard to see thread because I wanted to blend more easily. And I'm just going to go over my starting stitches a couple times to lock everything in. All right, last step. Are you ready for it? We are going to put the strap into the loops and then tie a knot on the end. And this is where you could try your bag on and make sure you like the height of your strap. You can move your knot up or down until you get it so that it's just right. Finished! Ta-da! I love it. Like I mentioned, if you want a downloadable sewing pattern for this bag and several variations on this cute small purse, the link is in the description box below this video.